Welcome to the Balls Not Court podcast. Cortez Paulus here. Kevin Carter over Skype. Mr. Carter.
4.5 hours later.
Happy Friday to you, sir. Happy Friday evening to you, sir.
Yes, happy surviving that nor'easter that we had come through.
Yeah.
We've had worse freaking thunderstorm than that mess.
Hey, man, crisis averted, man. That was a Category 5, so I'm for
one. Prayers for the Bahamas because they got absolutely pummeled. And, of course, thinking about them, thinking about the people down there. Good on all the cruise lines and stuff with all the money they've raised so far.
Yep.
All the stuff they're taking down there and everybody stepping up to send things to the Bahamas. So much prayers for them. Hopefully they can recover from what was just 2 days of being pummeled by just an absolute dick of a storm.
I mean, have you ever heard of a hurricane just sitting like that for just almost more than 24 hours? Just standing still?
That was the craziest thing I've ever seen. Because usually what happens, I'm going to go meteorologist on this. What happens is there's always a high pressure system that high pressure system that was coming in. But what happened is that thing dissipated. So as that high pressure system was dissipating, it didn't have nothing to steer it. So it just sat still until the one that was coming over Florida and across the United States finally came through and was able to grab it and push it in the direction which it went. Because a low pressure system like a hurricane cannot penetrate through a high pressure system. So that's why it didn't move, is because it had nothing to steer it. And it couldn't go through that high pressure that was sitting off to its eastern side. So there's y'all little meteorology, whatever.
Meteorologist update.
There's y'all weather tidbit for today.
Yeah, as Kevin stated before, prayers to Bahamas and whoever family was affected by that storm. One of my good buddies that we went to PI with was on the news with Spectrum, Ian, about that. I guess come to find out he got some family over there in the Bahamas and stuff like that. So he talked about it but yeah, just people that's been affected by this storm. I mean, we all know that, you know, when a hurricane like that size that just kept getting bigger and bigger, and it still is a Category 1, pretty much going up the coast here. And
we got butt lucky.
Yeah,
here for sure. We got amazingly lucky, considering what it was saying it was going to do 2 weeks prior.
Mm-hmm.
But this was the slowest stinking storm I've ever seen in my life.
Didn't make his mind up, you know. Just
it gave people 2 weeks of aneurysms.
I bought stuff that I need to return. I done went through all my hurricane snacks. So I'm just sitting here like, what is going on right now with this mess, man? So I couldn't believe how crazy it was.
The best part about it was for everybody that was in Orlando and was stuck and everything. Mm-hmm. Well, you wasn't really stuck because you could have went to the theme parks and there was no one there. Like you could got on Star Wars ride in 15 minutes.
There's always a positive to it, huh?
I'd have went. If I was down there, I'd have been like, look, we're going to Disney World. We can ride everything.
Oh, man. That is great. So, ladies and gentlemen, thanks for staying tuned with us. We didn't know what kind of hurricane we was going to come this way, or we had power or whatnot, but we basically just got the outskirts of it. So, we're going to go ahead and now do this podcast that we were supposed to do early in the week, but, you know, things happen. We're busy, and something done happened and already done started. So what's going on? What's going on in the world right now, Kevin? Tell the people what's going on in the world right now. What's going on?
I don't know if most of y'all watched last night, which hopefully you didn't, because that was a bore fest. But the NFL season is kicked off, so now we get to talk a little little NFL football, which always pleases me.
Yes, I was so glad to have football back. I know Kevin is glad times 10 to have it back, besides a little snoo fest. But this is what happened when you have majority of their first stringers did not play in the preseason.
This is exactly what happens when the majority of your first stringers don't play, especially on offense during the preseason.
Yeah.
They get no rhythm. They absolutely have no continuity with it.
Yeah, it looked rough all around, man, didn't it?
The defenses are way different. Defense isn't as schemed up as much as offenses are.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't, you can go out and just play defense. Offense, you have to be like, okay, you need to be here, you need to be here. It's more about precision. Defense, you can go out and play most of the time. So the defenses are always going to be ahead, especially in that first game of the season, and especially if your offensive players hasn't played that much during the regulars or during the preseason.
Yeah.
Because when you make Green Bay Packers defense look as good as they did, you can definitely tell you didn't play none in the preseason.
But hey, Aaron Rodgers convinced that their defense took a step forward. I mean, I know the Bears ain't got the best offense in the world, but
well, look here, Blake Trubisky,
or you said Blake Trubisky,
or Mitch Bortles,
Mitch Bortles,
whatever you. He looked bad last night, but you could tell that was from lack of being out there playing.
Yeah.
And just in crucial times, he made dumb mistakes, like that throw on the interception. Why are you throwing it to where 3 people are around your one dude?
Yeah.
It was insane. Guys were getting triple teamed, and he's still trying to throw it to him. There's one thing out there on Twitter where the guy's literally counting 1, 2, 3 people guarding me.
Oh, Devontae Adams. Yeah, I saw that.
But that's what was happening all night on both sides. Allen Robinson was being triple teamed, and you tried to throw in the ball in the back of the end zone. Yeah. Oh, goodness. This is a game you could tell nobody played in the preseason.
Mm-hmm.
Hence why you need to shorten the preseason. I don't care if you lengthen the regular season, but the preseason needs to be shortened. There's no reason, one, to charge the fans full price to go to a preseason game, or two, to have these guys who are already injury prone and getting their heads dinged off and everything else like that, just to play more games to where they can get that kind of stuff happen to them. I say you just shrink it down and you don't extend it anymore.
Yeah. But I say it might be a good idea looking that rusty, because many people that was at the game, broadcasting the game, was thinking this game going to be in the 20s. But it was definitely a stink fest. But it was cool to see Eddie. I mean, Chicago kind of had to release a sigh of relief when they saw a field goal went through.
Did you hear the crowd cheer? I've never heard a field goal cheered that loud.
I was just happy for Eddie. I know somewhere Kevin was doing the chant somewhere. Eddie, 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 Eddie. Hey, it's one of our Florida guys, man. So we gotta show the man some love. So that's why you had to chant Eddie, Eddie, Eddie.
That Barnes put it out there that we're in trouble now. Chicago's found a kicker, and then I put it underneath it, Eddie, Eddie.
I know you had to be chanting somewhere. So
yeah, it was good to see. It's good to see him. He's going, if he can stick and stay healthy, he'll be a good kicker in the league. The boy's got a leg.
Yeah.
I'm just hoping the way he celebrates, he don't do that Martin Dramatica thing where he jumps up and tears his ACL.
Oh yeah, you gotta be careful, man. Gotta be careful. So, all right, well, let's hop into it. This is the NFL season preview, and we got a couple questions that we're gonna start off with. So don't worry. At that marker, I will edit the music and put the music in for that.
See, there he goes.
So I have that back. So I got it.
I think I did a pretty good job without the editing.
No, yeah, you did a great job. You did a great job. So just for our listeners, heads up questions that we're gonna be asking. What's the storyline of this division? Who's the best players in the division? Just some random questions. You'll kind of hear me and Kevin going back and forth on it. and we're going to kind of cover each division that's in the AFC and the NFC. And we're going to start with the AFC East. You got the Patriots last year, who were, your Super Bowl defending champions. They won the division 11-5. Miami Dolphins 7-9. That won't happen this year. The Buffalo Bills.
See everybody. We're starting with the easiest division.
Yeah. Yes. We that's what I'm saying. We're getting warmed up like the Bears and the Packers last night. So
we didn't have a preseason either.
The New York Jets ended the season at 4-12. So the AFC East, Mr. Carter, what is your storyline for this AFC East division, sir? What's your storyline that you got for this division?
Well, the storyline is, can the old embattled Patriots with Bill Belichick and Tom Brady, can they weather the storm of losing Gronk and losing some of the other pieces that they had on offense and still continue their dominance over this division, especially with a Jets team now that has a few new pieces to give their young quarterback and see if they can get over that hump. And the biggest one, can Miami tank as well as some NBA teams?
They're talking about trading all the little talent that they did have. They really just kind of did an overhaul before the season even started.
They sent Jeremy Tunsil away. They sent Kenny Stills away. Mm-hmm. The only thing they did was trade for Josh Rosen, who's like, oh my God, I don't even want to play here now because I'll die if I play quarterback here now because you have no offensive line. And they're trying to accumulate all these picks just in case they don't get the first pick in the draft so they can go up against Tua. Well, you just traded for this guy that was drafted in the first round. Now all of a sudden you want to tank for a guy that no one knows if he's really going to be that guy in the NFL or not.
Right. So
and it's just crazy that they're like fire sale. The only other crazier team than that was the freaking Houston Texans.
Yeah. I tell you, my storyline, it's Kevin kind of segue into the Jets. I just think the New York Jets, they surround talent around Sam Darnold with Le'Veon Bell, and then of course, they got the quarterback magician coach or quarterback whisperer coach, and Adam Gase, who was their head coach. And I mean, I think there's a pretty much a ceiling more for Sam Darnold than there is for Ryan Tannehill. So I think you have a good shot there to kind of build that foundation to see can he do the threaten the Patriots, as Kevin said, in this division. So that's my.
Oh, did you say Le'Veon Bell, that player that is on the fantasy team called Mahomes for sale?
He is. Yeah. He hasn't played in 602 days to be exact.
I have full trust.
Hey, the last time he did play, the Jaguars kind of spanked him. So I'm sure you remember that, Mr. Carter. About to say, yeah, I know you remember that, Mr. Carter. About last time Le'Veon Bell played was against the Jaguars. So,
yeah, that was fun.
Hey, I'm sure you enjoy that. So, all right,
if only go back to that, I'd be more than happy.
Who is the best player in this division?
Yeah, if you don't say him, then everybody will bitch. But if you do say him, then everybody's going to go, oh, that's a cop-out.
Oh, I didn't go that route. But
So do I have to say him or do I not have to say him? I think the best player, pound for pound, in that whole thing is Le'Veon Bell.
I